Hi everyone, we are at the end of our story, Runaway Ralph. Let's see what happens to Ralph next. Ralph leaped to the floor and was aware of a double row of girls staring at him from their bunks. He darted toward an overturned riding boot, realized that he would be trapped inside, and darted the other way without knowing where he was going. Now all the girls were squealing. "Catch him! Don't let him get away! Isn't he darling? Isn't he darling? He's in my sleeping bag," said Karen. Sock-clad feet hit the floor. "Get a wash basin," someone yelled. "Catch him under a wash basin." "Girls," cried the counselor. Ralph darted this way and that. No matter which way he ran, he met feet. He was frantic. He knew he had to find a way to escape before someone clapped something over him. The screen door creaked, so he knew someone had ran outside for a basin. "A hat!" someone shouted. "Where's a hat?" In his panic, Ralph ran up and over a foot in a white sock. Its owner screamed. Sam, alerted by the scream, began to bark. A straw cowboy hat plopped down on the concrete floor, making a dark dome over Ralph. The daylight that shone between the straws seemed like starlight to a mouse. "Look!" shrieked Karen. "A hole in my sleeping bag! He chewed a big hole right in my sleeping bag!" Sam, frantic to protect the girls, scrabbled his paws against the screen door. "It's only me!" squeaked Ralph, but no one could hear him. Ralph was alerted, waiting for someone to lift the hat so that he could make a dash, if not for a knothole, at least for the shelter of a bunk. "There's something in the hole in my sleeping bag," cried Karen. "My watch! Look, it's my missing watch!" Feet went padding to Karen's bunk. The screen door opened, and one set of dog footprints and two sets of human footprints entered. Those of the girl who had gone for the wash basin and those of someone else. "Girls, what is going on in here?" asked Aunt Jill. "This is supposed to be rest time." Ralph could hear Sam sniffing around in circles with his nose to the floor. The girls all tried to speak at once, but Karen managed to tell about the finding of the watch. "So Garf couldn't have taken it," said another girl. "And we have the mouse in person right here under that hat," said another. Sam's nose came to a halt at the hat brim. "Hey, Sam, it's only me," squeaked Ralph in alarm. He was relieved to have Sam sit and begin to pant. Ralph pressed his eye to a crack in the straw and saw Sam's long pink tongue hanging out. "But what I don't understand," said Karen, "is how the watch got inside the hole. A mouse couldn't put it there." "You'll never know," thought Ralph in grim amusement. "Aunt Jill, what should we do with the mouse?" Ralph heard one of the girls ask. "We're going to scoop him up in this wash basin." "Not if I can help it," thought Ralph. "Well, why don't we give him to Garf?" suggested Aunt Jill. "I'm sure he misses his mouse, and I know his feelings were hurt because some people thought he had taken the watch." "Oh, good idea," agreed Karen. "Well," thought Ralph, "that takes care of a lot of things." When the brim of the hat was lifted and the rim of the plastic wash basin scraped against the floor, Ralph hopped into the basin and, with the hat still over him, he felt himself being lifted. Then the hat was raised a few inches on one side of the basin, and Ralph saw a row of eyes staring at him. Ralph could not help trembling, even though he was sure he had nothing to fear. "Oh, he's so little," said one of the girls, marveling. "Aunt Jill, he looks an awful lot like Garf's mouse," said Karen. "You don't suppose—" One mouse looks pretty much like another, said Aunt Jill briskly. Now, girls, go back to your bunks. I'll take the mouse to Garf. Darkness fell on Ralph as she placed the hat over the basin. Ralph felt himself being carried out of the girls' lodge and past the craft shop, where he could hear Chum gnawing at the bars of his cage. Poor old Chum. He heard the door of Garf's lodge being opened. "Garf," whispered Aunt Jill, "wake up! Wake up! I have something for you." "Huh?" said Garf sleepily. Waking a sleeping boy on a hot summer afternoon is not easy. "I have a mouse for you," said Aunt Jill. "A mouse?" Ralph could tell Garf was wide awake now. "Let me see." Ralph sat quietly in the basin while the hat was cautiously lifted. He could see the other boys and their counselor sprawled in sleep on their bunks, and on a ledge over Garf's lower bunk he saw his crash helmet. "Karen found him in a hole in her sleeping bag," Aunt Jill explained, "and it was the strangest thing. She found her missing watch inside of the hole." Ralph saw that Aunt Jill was studying him thoughtfully. "No kidding," explained Garf, forgetting to keep his voice down. "Yes," whispered Aunt Jill, "and the girls thought you might like to have the mouse." I sure would," whispered Garf. "I think we can bend the cage back into shape," said Aunt Jill. "Can't I keep him here in the basin?" asked Garf. "Oh, he might escape," said Aunt Jill, "but he's your mouse." She smiled and slipped quietly out of the lodge. "You did it," whispered Garf. "Sure, I did it," said Ralph, "but do I have to sit here in this basin?" "Of course not," answered Garf, holding out his hand. Ralph leaped into Garf's palm, and Garf gently moved his hand down close to his pocket, and there, as he hoped, was his motorcycle. In the warm and cozy darkness, he ran his paws over the handlebars, the plastic seat, the wheels, and the exhaust pipe. The motorcycle was intact, and it was his once more. He earned it. Ralph popped back out of the pocket. "You aren't going to make me go back into that cage, are you?" he asked. "Not if you promise not to run away. I'm taking you back to the inn tomorrow. Remember?" "You haven't forgotten your promise about the motorcycle, have you?" asked Ralph, just to be sure. "Nope," answered Garf. "I won't run away," promised Ralph, "but there's one more thing. Before you leave camp, do you suppose we could give Chum a piece of wood to gnaw so we won't have to gnaw on the cage to keep his teeth worn down?" "Why, sure," whispered Garf, "right after rest time." That need taken care of made Ralph feel better about Chum alone in the craft shop. He was about to climb back into the pocket when Garf whispered, "Do me a favor, will you? Let me see you ride the motorcycle before everybody wakes up." "Sure." Ralph was happy to agree to his request. Gently, Garf lifted Ralph and the motorcycle to the floor. Then he handed down the crash helmet, which Ralph set on his head and secured by snapping the rubber band under his chin. Expertly, he grasped the handlebars, threw his leg over the plastic seat, and taking care to keep his tail out of the spokes, he inhaled. Ralph took off across the concrete floor while Garf leaned over the edge of his bunk to watch. Ralph bent low over his handlebars, and he increased his speed. And filled with joy and excitement of speed, he rode in a figure eight around Garf's cowboy boots, which were lying on the floor. Garf's counselor moved in his sleep, and Ralph shot out of sight under Garf's bunk until the counselor lay still. He rode until he was breathless, and then he coasted to a stop in front of Garf, where he sat panting in his crash helmet pushed back on his head. "Boy," whispered Garf, "was that ever great?" And Ralph silently agreed. "I sure wish I could do that." Garf picked up Ralph and the motorcycle, and he put them gently in his pocket. After all the excitement of the morning, Ralph was ready for a nap, but first he popped his head out of Garf's pocket. "Thanks, friend," he said. "And by the way, don't roll over on me during rest time." "Don't worry," whispered Garf. "I'll get you back to the inn in one piece, and your motorcycle too." Okay, friends, that was the very last words of Runaway Ralph. I hope that you liked this book. I enjoyed reading it to you. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.